All right, I'm not gonna say who, but I'm just gonna kind of leave it here. Somebody here in America is trying to increase the tariffs, taxes on imports from China. $300 billion worth of imports from China. Again, I'm not naming any names, not pointing any fingers, but somebody's trying to do this. I'm not saying it's good or bad. All I'm saying is this is kind of scary. Well, was scary. Again, like I said, not naming any names here. Just, it'd be really stupid to do that because it would mess up a lot of people's businesses. But hey, what do I know? So obviously a lot of people have been talking about this. Trump and his ability to impose tariffs on imports from, well, China.
China.
And what does that mean for us as dropshippers and kind of, I don't know, everybody else in America? What does that mean for us? $300 billion worth of goods is gonna be, kind of 10% extra. That's the best way to put it. Now, why will it be 10% extra? Well, because companies like Apple and people like us, if we're drop shipping, we're going out there and we're buying products for, let's just say it was $2, now it's gonna be $2.20. An Apple iPhone might be $1,000, now might be $1,100, and that cost is gonna be imposed onto the consumer. That's me and you, and people buying from us. And that's not a good thing because our margins are already a little iffy, they're a little stiff, and we try to find every which way possible to make more money from what we have at our disposal if we're just getting started. So I wanna go ahead and let you know what's going on, why it's important, what this means for you, and what this means for the future of the Shopify drop shipping community and just drop shipping in general. So let's just get right into it. So just so you know, Trump said September 1st, 2019, there's going to be a 10% tariff on $300 billion worth of goods that are imported from China. And for the record, I want you guys to not freak out because he recently said that he's not doing this anymore and it's only going to happen after the Christmas rush, if you will. And that's gonna be December 15th when the actual 10% tariff is imposed. And I wanna start putting it in quotes, when the 10% tariff. It almost sounds like he wanted the market to go into a frenzy so he can make a lot of money, kind of putting the market in a frenzy. But that's just my speculation. That's what I personally think. Because if somebody's gonna go out there and say, hey, we're doing 10% on September 1st, and they say, never mind, I'm gonna push it back a little bit more, and then the market influx, again, this is just my theory, it's probably wrong, so what do I know? But anyway, it was supposed to be 10% this upcoming September 1st. However, I will say that it has been moved to a projected December 15th, 2019, when the tariffs will be 10% on the goods that was originally supposed to be September 1st. Now, again, what I just said before, I'm at a 50-50% shot with it because it didn't go through the first time and it might go through the second time. I'm not too sure at this point. I was really certain that it was gonna pass, that he was gonna impose these tariffs come September 1st. And there's no way to possibly know what would happen until it's actually imposed. Until those tariffs are in place, I wouldn't know necessarily if that would have a massive impact because the way I foresee it is a lot of people would, number one, get scared, and number two, if those tariffs are imposed, you're gonna see a lot of dropshippers. You're gonna see a lot of dropshippers either find a new category of something to sell, or they're just gonna go find jobs if there is jobs at this point because the economy might just go to absolute garbage because of the fact that everything is just overly priced now. So in my opinion, there might be less competition. That means maybe lower CPMs on Facebook, which means that the 10% might offset. However, something really interesting happened during the tariff announcement, and what China did is going to baffle you. So take a look at this. So obviously Trump went out there and tried to go and impose the 10% tariff. And China's response was, okay, that's fine. So it's essentially a plan to hurt China financially. So what China did was they literally loaded a gun, put it to their head and they're playing Russian roulette. They're squeezing the trigger and hoping that it doesn't backfire on them. Because what did they do to their own currency? They essentially devalued their own currency. But why is that important to us? What does that mean? That means that the 10% tariff wouldn't necessarily be 10%. You know, there's experts that guess it'd be between the range of 2 and 4%, which is a lot more bearable than 10%. Now, given it's still 2 to 4%, right? That's still a decent amount of extra change that shouldn't necessarily be there. But with different obstacles that would happen, like what people would go through, I was reading a bunch of articles on this as well, is that the tariffs would be closer to 1 to 2%, and it wouldn't be a massive noticeable difference for smaller businesses, but for bigger businesses, yes, the 1-2% is still a lot for the bottom line, but it's not as bad as 10%, right? So it's kind of like picking the best of both poisons. Still poisons, one might kill you in a day, one might kill you in 100 days. You pick which one you want, and the outcome is kind of the same, so you just got to decide if you want to get it over with quick or if you want to go ahead and die in 100 days. That's essentially what China's doing over here. But I personally think that I just don't feel like it's that right, because the person suffering here isn't necessarily the big companies, it's actually the individuals in China, because their money is now worth less, right? It's not worthless, it's just worth less than it was if it was at a 1 to 2. So for every $1 might be 2 yuan, right? Again, theoretically, I don't know the actual exchange rates. I think it was like a 1 to 7 that China put it at. So for every US dollar, it's like 7 yuan. So again, it really offsets everything. It makes it good for us as dropshippers because it kind of deflects the inflation, but it kind of screws over, I think, over 1 billion people. So that's not like, it's not something that I personally like or invoke or would say it's a really good move. I personally think this whole trade war, and now it's a currency war, is stupid. Which brings me to my next point, which is the plan and what happens to the marketplace. So what happens to the marketplace with Shopify drop shipping and just drop shipping in general? What happens here with these new tariffs? Well, honestly, number one, we have to see if these tariffs even come to fruition. Because at this point, it's just a baby with a hand grenade threatening and having leverage over another country and probably profiting at the same exact time. That's the way that I see it. Is it a good call? No. Okay, so for me, I think it's really stupid the way it's kind of going out there and being handled. But let's say theoretically he does let that grenade go and he throws it, and we now have 10% tariffs. What happens then? What exactly do you do? Number one is you cannot panic. Okay, so the moment you go into panic mode, the moment everybody starts going into panic mode, that is really, really bad. This is when a lot of things will kind of, hit the fan. And it's not good for you to panic. There's always ways around things, maybe not a 10% tariff, that would be really bad, but China would offset it for us in a bearable way. Yes, we would still need to pay a little extra, but it's not 10% extra. So just keep that in mind. Number one, don't panic. Number two, if it does happen, panic later. So right now, there's no need to panic. If it does happen, then I'll make an updated video, because at that point we need to figure out what's going on and how this is going to affect everybody, because it's going to be a community huge thing. You're going to see people leaving the dropshipping community in hordes, and it's already happening, right? People are starting to get scared and afraid of the dropshipping community, and people that are dropshipping and previously dropshipped, they're like, I don't think it's a good time to get into it because of the fact that you have these 10% tariffs being imposed and all that. So don't panic until something actually comes to fruition, because right now, like I said, we're looking at a situation where a baby is holding a hand grenade. Maybe he knows how to use it, maybe he doesn't, maybe he will use it, maybe he won't. So don't panic until something happens, and if something does happen, I just don't think you would necessarily need to panic. If anything, it'll create space in the marketplace. The other thing I'm going to suggest is keep on learning new things. So if you're somebody who has been dropshipping for a very long time, maybe you could take on consulting clients. Maybe you can, start teaching yourself something else, or whatever it is. Constantly keep learning. That's going to combat you kind of being stuck in one realm, right? So if all you've ever done in your life is Shopify dropshipping, you're kind of stuck to that, that's all you know, kind of like yours truly, you got to start learning new things here. And you have to start seeing what other skills you can form, what you enjoy doing, what you can see yourself scaling up with. And if something were to go really bad and not our way, you have this leverage point where you can do something else. You're not stuck on that and then having to scramble and try to figure everything out. That will become really hectic for you. So number one, don't freak out. Number two, if it does happen, we can figure it out. You'll definitely figure it out. There will be solutions. China already has come up with solutions for us. Number three is learn something different. And number four is don't buy useless things. And I guess I'll leave that one right there. Don't buy useless things. In the meantime, what I would recommend for everybody right now, because I don't know what's gonna be happening in the near future, is save. And now when I say don't buy useless things, I mean save your money right now, because there will be ample opportunity in the marketplace that you'll be able to spot if things are to go south, right? So kind of keep that in mind. And now my question for you that I want you to answer in the comments down below is that if the tariffs do go ahead and get passed, are you going to stay or pursue drop shipping in the future? And that's something I'm really, really interested in. Leave your comment down below. And also, by the way, don't forget to hit a like on this video. If you enjoy this type of information being brought directly to you in a digestible way, I'll definitely create more videos like this, also helping you understand what's going on in the marketplace. So Dan from Notification Squad, make sure you subscribe with notifications so you can be up to date with what's working right now. And guess what? I'll see you tomorrow.